Hello, this is Tanisha J with Cosmic Roots Alchemy. If this is your first time here, come in, get settled into the energy. And if this is you coming back again, welcome back. And let's do another divine reading. Today, we're going to do Ancestral Tarot reading. And we're doing the Ancestral Tarot reading on the continuum of the series of the Ancestral Astrology Revolutionary Bloodline, where I went into the astrologies of Asada Shakur, Afeni and Tupac Shakur, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, and Martin Luther King Jr. Now, this is the reading where we ask them questions about what was happening during that time, what were they doing, what do they think of now, even in the current affairs and the current state of the Black community. And so, with this reading, we are this is like a continuum of the ancestral astrology and reading speaking to us, the descendants. Before we get into the reading, though, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. I always want you to remember that tarot card reading is an interpretive tool used for spiritual communication. This is no way replace any professional advice or stating facts. I want you to use your discernment. Whatever resonates with you, keep it, and what doesn't, let it fall. And also to remember that these readings, these are intentions for growth, healing of our community. So let's get back into the Ancestral Astrology Revolutionary Bloodline Tarot reading. This is where we ask the energies of the activists of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Asada Shakur, Afeni, and Tupac Shakur's energies to help us in answering some questions and guiding us. So the first where we're going to begin, we're going to ask the activists, the Revolutionary Bloodline activists, what agreement existed in the soul of their work, in the ancestral lineage. What agreement existed between the activist soul and ancestral lineage? Basically, what was the karmic soul agreement of why they came here through the ancestral lineage? That's the question that we're asking, and we're searching for of why they were chosen and what was the agreement about. So again, we're asking, what was the soul agreement with the ancestral lineage? This says to access clear thinking. If you see it, you can see there's a maze in that card. And it's basically, even look, like there's a checkerboard, almost like a chessboard, in the background of figuring things out. Almost something like, I want to say, find your way home, find your way to who you are, find the truth and what you want for your community. Oops. Oh, I got plenty of cards. Okay. Okay, so let's see if I can bring. Let's continue to shuffle the cards. So many cards came out. But again, it says access clear thinking, like create a clear path of guidance to where you're going, because so many stuff. Release fear. Release your fear. Oh, these same one says it isn't. Okay. Focus on higher truth. Develop concentration. Relieve anxiety. So with this, I feel like what they were saying, that the work that they did, they were coming down to clear the consciousness and give clear thinking to the community, to release the fear of what they've been into. And when I say release the fear, this is the card that comes, release fear. I think this is talking about the wounds, the hurts, the pains, and the traumas that came along when they brought over, um, when they brought the community over as slaves, and there was telling them to release that fear, release what that weight that has put upon you, those instructions, those weight and everything that's been upon you. And you can see here it says focus on higher truth. When it asks us to focus on higher truth, and again it says relieve anxiety. So if it's asking us again to release fear and to release anxiety, it definitely is asking us to remove that mask, to remove those things that does not no longer serve us, and to move into, and it says develop concentration. So this really was them coming to bring an awareness of who we are, bring an awareness of the things that no longer serve us, and to remove us from that fear, because it was being said, if you see someone like, so if you seeing someone and you feel like you're connecting to that person, because sometimes you're like, I feel this way, I feel that way, and you feel alone. And then once you see other people stepping in and they're speaking of the same experiences and the feelings that they have, they're basically like, okay, it's not only me, there are many others who out there feeling the same way. So they were coming to clear and break addiction. Now, when they say break addiction, I feel like this was to break the cycle, to break the cycle of what we were going through, to break the cycle of more stuff. To break the cycle of what we were going through. Let me explain this. To break the cycle of what we're going through and to change our scenery, to see bigger things for our community. And it said awaken the vulnerability. And even with that card that says release the fear, relieve anxiety, they wanted to awaken us to the truth of things and who we are. So therefore, reverse disassociation. Release, release, release. We had to release all those things that no longer serve us. We had to move farther away and actually use the key to who we are, to get to know who we are, to know the truth. And I wanted to say, even with that, because you see, they are back to back. One has the actual keyhole and the other has the key. So therefore, we needed to actually, again, bring back, because it says disassociation. And with the disassociation, they wanted us to actually acknowledge what really was happening, the truth of what was happening, so that we can have a clear access of what we needed to do to release ourselves from what was going on. Okay. Again, sever ties oneself from a way of thinking, a way of the relationship that we had, of what they had told us, what was actual fair for us, what was actually fair to us, and we know it wasn't fair to us, such as segregation, such as unequal treatment rights that we were facing. And it was to release ourselves from those beliefs and to have clear access, no longer to be under that contract of what they were telling us, what was the truth, that contract from telling us and sharing us what our history was, when we should know what the true history of who we are. So they were coming in to basically awaken us to who we truly are. And let's move. Let's see. The next question is, what ancestral pain was being confronted? What ancestral pain was being confronted? The focus on higher truth. Higher truths come through again. So what's in, ooh, breaking agreements. Stop breaking agreements. Explore your ancestry. This card right here by itself saying explore your ancestry. Feel like it comes from basically is us facing who we are and releasing that contract, that agreement of what we signed. Now, mind you, we signed these agreements in a state of confusion, and it is not like signing agreement paperwork. We signed it consciously, unconsciously, when we did not come, when we were forced here, when we were kidnapped, when we were made into slaves. That's how that contract began. And when that contract began, they assimilated for us to forget who we were and who we are, because we were kings, we were queens, we were scientists, we were alchemists, we were teachers, we were nurses, we were doctors, we were biologists. And so from when once we were kidnapped and we were brought to America, all of those things were taken from us, the memory of who we were, especially the way they treat us. That's why they say focus on higher truth. Stop breaking agreements. You know who you are. Explore your ancestry. It's like explore your ancestry so you can gain access to who you are again. And remember, and do not allow fear to keep you where you are, because again, when the revolutionaries are coming in, they're saying this is this and this and that, and we deserve to be free, and we deserve to have rights, we deserve to have equal employment, we deserve to have medical care. It's like, are they going to give it to us? You don't have to ask, we're going to take it, and we're going to form. So that was the thing, and they were trying to create a supportive community team for that. And that is one of the things of what they were doing. The ancestral pattern of being confronted was being the truth of who we are. And let me put this right here, because I feel like these three are the biggest thing: the truth that we are, and breaking that. It says stop breaking agreements, and I believe the breaking agreement is your ancestral, acknowledging your nationality, acknowledging who you are, acknowledging who you're from. And I know it was hard because they left nothing for us to find our way back. But however, when Malcolm X, when Martin Luther King, when Assata Shakur, when Tupac Shakur, and Afeni Shakur, and I think I'm forgetting somebody else, Martin Luther King, if I hadn't said him yet, they were coming to remind us who we were. They were coming to remind us who we were, and our foundation of who we are. And that is what they were coming to break. That's how they was going to confront the ancestral pattern in remembrance of who we were. Okay. I want to do one more card about the karmic pattern. Speak to me about the ancestral activists, the revolutionary bloodline of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Assata Shakur, Tupac Shakur, and it's one more person, Fred Hampton. As we are talking about them, what was the karmic blessing and guidance they were here for us? What were they representing for us when it came? What was the energy that was meant to be transformed when they came here? What energy were they transforming? What was the karmic energy the revolutionaries were transforming? What is it that they were working forward towards us, for the community, for a better future for us? What is the karmic energy? Oops, sorry. The illusion of attachment. They were wanting to come break chains. They were coming to break the chains that we thought that was upon us. They were coming to break the chain, and when they break the chain, it was going to be a circle of healing. It was going to be a circle of healing that would heal us from the attachment of what we came in under, attached under that curse that we were under. They wanted to release us. They wanted us to be released. And there you go, the card, the liberation card comes. They want us to be liberated. The gate of liberation. Hold on, there's two cards. The liberation of Moksha and the gate of liberation. They were leading us, y'all. They were leading us to the gift of free will. They were leading us to a rebirth cycle. They came. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. They came because they wanted us to get out of that hypnosis that we were in. They want us to start knowing who we were, what we deserve, and that we were the foundation of the earth. We were the movement of the earth. That we were doctors, we were lawyers, we were healers, and as we are. And then the thing about it, to be honest, I'm saying they want us to remember we were, and they're like, no, 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 not were. You are, because that's the actual claim to fame of how you got into the change. You forgot who you are. Remember who you are. Remember the healing that you gave. Remember the teachings you have given. Remember the scientist that you are. Remember the nurse that you are. So they were coming to do a rebirth cycle of who we are. The gift of free will, the gift of relieving ourselves from these chains, that we had a choice, that we could, that when they stepped into, they were trying to remind us of the beautiful option and remembering who we are with the liberation, the gate of liberation. They wanted us, that's the karmic energy that they were trying to break the attachment into liberation. They were trying to break those chains. Because you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. These chains for me symbolize more than chains. These chains symbolize me all of the things that was attached to us, that they gave to us, that they taught us. And when I see these chains, I see how the educational system, it's the educational system we went through. It's like the systematic erasure of who we are, the systematic erasure of our ancestral calling, the systematic erasure of our spirituality. This is what these chains remind me of. And they were coming to heal and to liberate us of all the things we are and all the things we could be through this rebirth cycle. So that was what they were up against. And that's what they transformed, because they did transform it. They transformed it in every movement, in every speech, in every protest. They transform it. Every time they talk to us, they transform it. They made us move to a different level, made us stop, think into a new rebirth and a new cycle. So that is what they have done. The work has done, and the work was doing when they were alive. And also within that context, it says what remains after that lifetime. But hold on, let's see. What remains after the lifetime? What remains after the work has been done? What remains from their work being done? Because you always got to remember, Fred Hampton was the Poor People's Campaign. He hold on, I want to say, because each of them, it was like each of them had a baton, and the baton was being passed in between them of the work that needed to be done for the ancestral lineage, for the bloodline. Each activist poured so much into us and guided us into our next level, into our next rhythm, into our next growth of who we are and who we are to be. And when it's talking about the lifetime, it's talking about after each passed on the baton, what happened? They also, with their information, we became keeper of ancient knowledge, because everything that they taught, we remembered. We are able to read the books. We are able to go see the speeches that were made. We're able to recite the speeches. We remember some of those speeches that they made. So they gave us and shared with us who we are. And so with that ancient knowledge, now it's like, okay, sow your seed of manifestations and become who you are. Become who you are and stand in who you are. And with that work, again, it was like, remember who you are. It even helped us to access our spiritual guidance. And again, like I said, level up. It made us level up. It's time to elevate. It made us elevate. It made us search for who we are. Because I know for me, for a fact, today, as I've read Asada biography. I seen the movie with Malcolm, and I read the biography of Malcolm X. Fred Hampton, I've always seen like documentaries about him, and with all of them, I basically, once again, I looked at each of them and recognized all of the knowledge that they passed on to us to level up, to have access to. And I want to say, when it says level up, let's talk about what they have left behind us, because with I'm trying Fred Hampton actually has I can't remember, it's like the Rainbow Coalition, but what it is a show. It's like basically a come take as you want box in the communities for food, clothes, and we have that here in Atlanta, and he still have that there in Chicago and everything. So there are remnants of them. We still have remnants of Martin Luther King and what he did in the church that he preached out of. Again, this comes again. Remember why you came. Remember why you came. And they are acknowledging, like, there are, it says shadow work, examine your motivations and healing sounds. The healing sounds were the speeches and were the activation of the things that they did to help us. And this is what they did within their lifetime of helping us and guiding us into the next level. And they want us to know it was lessons and challenges in relationships, and they came here to break family curses. This was generational healing, and each word that they did, each movement that they participated in, everything that they did, because one of the things about Asada Shakur, she was really into community. She was really into community, and despite that she was not living in the United States and she was in Cuba, she still was teaching. She still was able to acknowledge the wisdom, allow us to acknowledge her wisdom through her books, through her talking. Not only that, with like the movement of things coming forward, as in Black Lives Matter, everything that they have spoken to or worked for still exists today, and we still have the remembrance, and there are still remnants of them still here, their children, the things they did, and there are even some um parks named after them. There are other things, but despite that physical um aspect of things being left upon from their lifetime, they really have came here to be a generational healer of so many of us, because so many of us and so many activists are still standing. So many activists are still in the work, and we thank you for all the work that you have done. And I believe there are ancestors of us, and they are continuing to heal and guide us in the direction that we are currently going in. Okay, now what I want to do is ask the ancestors about the current affair of the Black community, the current situations and issues we are facing in the Black community, and see what they say. What do you How do you feel about the current state of the Black community right now? What do you feel the current state of the Black community? Mm. Oh. Mm. He believes we are still the mother of the earth and we are on fertile ground. However, there needs to be a total disruption. There needs to be a total disruption. Then he comes with the griot, blessed. We are blessed and we are on fertile ground. But it's time for a disruption. What is the disruption that is needed? The total disruption, Jumbi, removing the mask. Speak to me about Jumbi and total disruption and removing the mask. And moving the mask, this is what I'm getting from moving the mask. It is now that we are coming to our sovereign, being sovereign. The total disruption is being sovereign in who we are. Being sovereign in who we are and where we come from. Because that is the blessing, that is the fertile ground. The only thing in total disruption, I feel like what they're talking about is, because I asked about the community, the Black community, is, I'm trying to think what the total disruption can be. Give me 1 second, because I want to look. Let me look in the book. Oh, okay. So when we come back into the sacred disruption, they're telling us don't be the fear of change and the fear of death are two huge fears that those who walk before your ancestors are calling on you to release fear and rise as yourself with all the lessons from the past in your heart. So they're saying to us, don't be fearful, because in the previous questions, you did see that there was fear. We were so fearful of the newness of the new direction that we would be going. We weren't sure. And there's like, you are the fertile ground. You are the blessed ground. Don't be afraid of who you are, because that's where you arrive from and that's who you are. It's like this reading is like they're reminding us, remember who you are. Remember the blessing in you. Remember the power in you. Remember who you are. And that's, again, he's saying, he's in the Black community, like, remember you are the source. And you have to remember, even with being the source spiritually, and but let's talk about economically, because that is where each of them was going with their fight. Malcolm X was going forward with that fight. Fred Hampton was going towards that fight. Martin Luther King was going towards that fight, because they realized how the foundation of Black community and Black people made this economy, made this foundation. And so he's like, remember, you are the structure, you are the foundation. So therefore, don't be afraid of creating your own and enriching in your own. So I feel like that is what they're stating, because if you remember, that was part of their message, of their movement. What do you think about the Carmelo Anthony case that's currently going on? What do you think about the Carmelo Anthony case that is currently happening with the young man being, he was found guilty and he was sentenced, I believe, to 35 years. He was sentenced to 35 years of prison time. What do you want to say about this? What is the message you would like to share? There's so much. Okay. This coming as modern. I want to put this here. Trust the path. He's saying, trust the path. Hold on. Let me take these off here. Okay. Here we go. They want you to know that this has always been the path. They have always used us as the sacrifice and the martyr. This is the path that they always created. Chaos, ignition of chaos and everything that's happening within the system. They've always chosen their passion ignited by creating chaos and confusion and allowing us to be sacrificed. This is how they've always been able to operate in the hyperstance of us, of the unknown, of spirituality, and for us to be like a check, for us to stay in, what's the best word for us to stay in check and hypnotized and in what we have always been in. They're like, fight back to it. No longer allow, and where they're saying fighting back to it, no longer allow yourself to be in that circle. Allow yourself to be in that circle. Allow yourself to be in the untruth of their instruments that they have used as lies towards us. Again, this is shadow coming to tell us, trust the path. And when they say trust the path, when they're saying trust the path, there's like, they have been always using the same formula. They have used the same formula always, all the time. Anytime we are at the brink, anytime we're at the break of freedom, when we starting to choose freedom, when we're starting to choose to move in a different direction. And I want y'all to know that y'all see this okra here. That's that spiritual protection. That's that spiritual guidance of our ancestors of moving ourselves into freedom. They always chose that chaos. They always chose that shadow mentality and tactic to get us fear back into weird. Because you got to remember, within this reading, they kept saying, the release the fear, release the anxiety. Do not allow them to put you into that corner again. Do not allow them to put you in that corner again with the formula that they've always done. Trust the path. Trust the path is moving. Trust the path of going forward. Again, it's showing this, asking us to take charge. And we need to take charge and be expedient about moving forward. And even saying within slavery, this is how they chose to get us back into work. They always took that one person and made an example of that one person. No longer will that be the defeat. No longer will that message be contained. No longer will we be the ones to follow. And the one thing about this reading, being that they use that formula, they always took the possibilities and potential that we knew of ourselves, because we were so afraid. Because you have to think about in the stories that I heard, when once they what's the word, punish a slave or whatever have you, the others became freed, they became still, and they're like, I need you to know the radical truth. I need you to know this is the existence of ancestral pattern that has been happening, and I need you to step in your radical truth, and I need you to be victorious and be recognized, and know that your ancestors are standing behind you. We are standing behind you, blood, sweat, and tears, and we will help you through this path and guide you towards freedom. And freedom, what they're talking about is freedom is in that good juju of you moving forward, of you nourishing. Look at their spiritual rebirth. And I want to say the spiritual rebirth card, I feel like that's a call for us to go back into who we are, a call back for us to connect to our ancestors, a call back to recognize, to go back to call to our land, a call to recognize, to go back to who we are, because because we forgot it. We forgot it once they gave us the formula. Once they gave us the formula of how to work and how it should work here, we forgot it. And all they're asking is, it's time to bring clarity, and it's time to bring leadership within the community. And they're saying it don't have to be one person, it's the community. We need to rise. We need to rise as a community. We need to put together as a community, and we need to move forward as a community. Again, balance. With balance and harmony, we can bring forth whatever we want into our community. We can bring forth successful business. I've heard the word wealth transfer. There can be a wealth transfer of what is currently happening as we are boycotting the businesses. We can create wealth transfer by creating generational wealth, by buying black, being invested in our black communities. And they're saying it's us, it's us, it's us. We don't need a leader to tell us what to do. And again, they're reminding us, don't fall for the trickster. Don't fall for the trick. Don't fall for being caught in and going back into fear. You can do this. And they remind you, the total disruption is you, the community. You are the total disruption. You are the fertile ground. And the total disruption is going to happen through that fertile ground. Total disruption is going to happen to that wealth transfer. Total disruption is going to happen as we communicate, as we connect, and we become one sound and one community, leading each other into our spiritual rebirth, into being victorious of our community, and leading our community. So they're like, it's just not one person, it's all of us all together. We got to come in, we got to stand in as one community and trust that path as a community, that we can lead each other forth, and we can stay connected. Don't let it just be this. Let it continue to be this. Let us continue to be the growth. I think they speak about almost all that, because I was going to ask them about Cyrus. Let me see if they want to say anything about, do you want to speak anything about Cyrus Carmack Belton? Do you want to speak anything about Cyrus Carmack Belton? Hold on. Is there any messages, revolutionaries, ancestors, revolutionaries, that you want to speak about Cyrus Carmack Belton? Are there any messages you would like to share? fertile ground, creativity. He's come again saying trust the path. Trust the path. They He's an ancestor and he's also a revolutionary blood. He's changing the past and he's changing the path of our community. He's changing the path of how we're thinking. His energetic energy is basically like choose freedom. He's a part of the freedom of Blood Revolutionaries. Through his death, he has become a part of the revolutionaries. Again, look when I said through his death, he has become part of an ancestral force. He's an ancestral force who is coming through and who is going to make a change of us through the awakening. He's going to be awakening us through everything. All the unknowns, we're going to be figure this. We're going to become with limitless prosperity. Y'all, all these things are here to awaken us, and it's going to continue to awaken us and guide us into our rightful community, our rightful fruitful abundance of who we are and what we can do. All these things of what we can do, generosity, taking care of ourselves through emotional self-care. And these are the inspired actions that's going to lead us. And they're coming back again. Like, yes, he's a part of the beginning. He's a part of manifesting a new pathway with radical truth. He is, and miracles in motion. So y'all, and this on top, I feel like because this is shown in Cyrus reading before, it may have happened. Everything, the loss has happened through chaos, but believe radical truth and possibilities, options, and new beginnings are going to be happening. Miracles are happening in motion right now with all of the things that we are doing and supporting our Black community speaking and supporting our Black community business, our children, and standing up and being proud of who we are and reminding each other of who we are and the strength and the power that lies in us. I wanted to ask about, let me see. I'll just ask, is there any other messages? Are there any other messages you would like for us to know and to be guided into, ancestors? Are there any other messages that you would like to know and be guided and guide us into? Of how we can continue your work, how we continue to be revolutionaries. Because they're saying like revolutionaries is just, I know what we did, we spoke, you saw us in speeches, you saw us doing movement, you saw us doing protests. Exactly what y'all are doing are revolutionary work. Each time y'all speak, each time that y'all help the community, each time that you come through with the community, that's revolutionary. Are there any other messages you would like to share? Are there any other messages you would like to share? Just know that the ancestral force is with you and to choose freedom. The ancestral force is with you and to choose freedom. And the last card I'm going to do is the ancestral medicine. And that will be the last actual, wait a minute, I want to do one more thing because it actually said balance and harmony. There is balance and harmony within. They're going to help us with balance and harmony within for the freedom that we're working towards. And that freedom is, it's so crazy because it's like the freedom is what we've been asking for, the simple things, like for our families to be able to feed the family, be able to make sure our kids get an education, have a nice home. These are simple things, but they're like, you can't have them. It's within the community. It's within the love of the community. Okay, on to the last question, the ancestral medicine. What is the ancestral medicine that would like to be shared and left with us by the Blood Revolutionary activists of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, Afeni, and Tupac Shakur, and Assata Shakur? Inner wisdom. Oops. They say go ahead into your inner wisdom for growth. Go to yourself for your inner wisdom of growth. It's not outside you, it's inside you. And I feel like this is coming back to the community. It's coming back to us looking at each other. It's coming back to us to make the transformation. Our inner wisdom is going to help us transform our community. The inner wisdom is going to help us transform what true freedom is. And true freedom truly will be us loving on one another, using that love for growth and guidance. And it's going to be the healer. It is going to be the healer that is going to guide our community back to who we are. That's going to connect our community. That's going to make us realize and recognize who we are. And yes, they are angels and spirit guides that are here leading and guiding us. Truth, integrity. They're really coming out. And it's your creativity. It's your creativity that's going to bring it. And the intentional creativity that is going to bring forth the richness of the community and the beauty of our community. I love this reading because they had so much to say. And I thank you for your wisdom. I thank you for your truth and your guidance, because right now we are totally, totally in need of that. Okay, this has been the end of our Ancestral Tarot reading from the Ancestral Astrology's reading of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Tupac, and Afeni Shakur, Assata Shakur, and Fred Hampton. These were the words and the encouragement that they were giving us, and to remind us of who we are and the power that we reserve and have. So again, wait, I want to put this one more card, because they're like personal power. Personal power is all up to us. So I end this reading on that note. And I end the reading on that note. And I thank you again for your time, your patience, for sitting with me. And until next time, stay rooted in love. Bye.